Hi, how are you?
Doing good. How is Slovenia?
It's sunny. Look,
It looks very sunny there. Excellent. Are you guys in your office right now?
we're actually in the lab. I wanted to join you in the lab because I wanted to show you what we do, and I wanted to show you the actual filter because it's much more interesting if I just sit on the couch and talk to you.
Absolutely. That's great. That's great. Well, let's start off. I'm with Mojca Zupan from Planetcare Solutions here, and she's started this amazing company that makes microplastic filters for washing machines. And Mojca, why would we need a microplastic filter on our washing machines?
Because when you wash your clothes, especially synthetic fibers, millions of tiny microplastics get released into our world water supply, harming our marine environment and eventually also us, our children, our health, our planet. The problem is quite huge. 35% of all microplastics found in our ocean is actually from washing your clothes. It's microfibers. Microfibers are tiny and highly mobile because of their shape. So they are an especially dangerous kind of microplastics. And then there's all the chemicals, the colorings attached to it that are definitely not good for us and not good for the environment. So yeah, you should get one of those. But hopefully, and that's our end goal, they should be included in each and every new washing machine. We shouldn't have washing machine without filters. Washing machines should be equipped with one of those when you buy them. It really shouldn't be your responsibility probably, but to get there, to start a movement, you have to start with a product, and then you can change things because you have to show that it can be done. So that's why we have put this product on the market, the external retrofitting filter, to actually show that it can be done and how important the issue is. And everybody joining us is actually contributing to a much greater goal. So, at the end of the line, we'll have filters in all washing machines, hopefully in 5 years.
That is amazing. Yeah. So those are some crazy statistics that you brought up there. I can tell you, when I came across your Instagram page, I was so happy because I had heard statistics like that you just brought up as well. Things like humans are eating 5 grams of plastic every week, right? Through microplastics in our food and primarily our water. And even stuff like, in North America, I think it's something like 95% of our cities, our tap water has microplastics in them. Which is
they are
crazy.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really microfibers. They are in everything you eat and in everything you drink, and you breathe them in also. So you actually breathe them in, and they're very harmful to our lung tissue. There's preliminary research out there that's quite concerning. So they're actually inhibit the reproduction of lung cells. There's just been a study made in the Netherlands about COVID patients that know how much harder it is for them to recover when their lungs are actually filled with microplastics, with microfibers. And as I said, microfibers, because of their shape, they're like this spaghetti shape. They're even more dangerous than the classical round microplastics.
Absolutely. Yeah. I even saw there was a study in Italy that came out that found, it was a small study, but it looked at, I think, like 5 pregnant women. And I think 4 of the 5 women, they found microplastic fibers in their fetuses and in their placenta. Yeah.
The placenta, yeah.
Which is insane. Like how pervasive it is. Even other stuff, let's scare people some more. Even some other stats, like finding it in snow, like in Colorado and Norway, in rainfall even, right? Apparently these fibers are so small that they can be, I guess, evaporated into clouds and then rain down upon us. That's
okay.
Pretty terrifying.
I'm gonna beat you. They are even in the Mariana Trench, which is 11 kilometers deep. 11 kilometers deep, the deepest point actually in our ocean, has crabs, tiny little crabs with microfibers in them. So 11 kilometers deep. So they are everywhere.
It's everywhere.
The recent study from Peter Ross, they found it in the Arctic, and he actually established that those fibers came from washing our clothes in North America, in Europe. So they actually tracked the origin. So it's it's a ridiculous problem, isn't it? You wash your clothes, it's preventable, it's enormous, and we should really do something about it.
Absolutely.
I think it's, you know, like I always say that your car has a, I don't know, if you don't drive a fully electric car, it has a catalytic converter. It doesn't have it to function. It has it to, you know, protect the environment a little bit more. So I think, you know, we should make environmental neutral machines from now on, because we've done so much. And with microplastics, there's no way of ever retrieving them back. You should just stop the pollution right now, you know, because every day we don't do something, it's lost because they're in there. And, you know, it's not like plastic bottles that you can eventually clean up. Microplastics you can never clean up. They're, you know, once they leave your drain pipe, they're there to stay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other crazy thing is that no countries or governments on earth, from my understanding, mandate the testing of food or water or anything for microplastic content, right? Which is crazy. So we know it's out there, right? But not only do they not test, they also have no standards for, you know, what are the safe levels of exposure, which should probably be zero, right? Like, who wants to be drinking plastic or eating plastic? But it's just crazy. Like in Slovenia or in other countries in Europe, are there any governments that are trying to regulate this or test for this at all?
No, not to my knowledge, but I think Anrej, my colleague, would be probably better to answer that. You know, we are quite happy that the regulation is coming in terms of making filters mandatory in washing machines. So this is a step in the right direction. I think this is acknowledging that there is a problem and something should be, you know, done about it. But to go back, I think, you know, before we start testing what we eat and drink, we should probably have some clear understanding on how harmful they are. So, because, you know, now the word is still out there. Is it harmful to human? I mean, I think I'm 100% positive it's very harmful to humans, but we need to have probably a black and white research out there for the governments to really start acting on it. Because now all I hear is we need more research.
Yeah,
more
definitely.
Conclusive research on how dangerous it actually is. But, you know, I'm like I said, the preliminary research that's out there, it's quite concerning. I mean,
absolutely. There was a recent study out also about the danger of all the chemical additives in plastic. How, you know, using plastic, I think it's called like phthalates. It's a classification of chemicals that, you know, it stabilizes the plastic and the color and stuff like that. So for
I'm gonna introduce you to another badass.
I'm not a badass.
You are.
No.
James calls us that.
You guys are badasses.
So this is Anrej. He's our chief scientist, and he's been doing that for 20 years, research and all that. So he's probably the most credible member of our team to answer that.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, Anrej, very, very nice to meet you.
Yeah, hi. I heard the question before about food testing. And I know that at the European Union level, actually, they're looking at food safety from the point of view of microplastics. They're seriously looking at that. But unfortunately, you know, with food safety, it's always a question how harmful it is, or in fact, at what level it still isn't harmful. So I fully agree with you. Nobody wants to eat plastics. I don't want to eat plastics. I don't want to have plastics in my body. None. I mean, zero. But from the sort of regulatory point of view, they always look what is still a safe level to have it, which is, in my opinion, well, sorry? Yeah?
Oh, sorry, yeah, it was just cutting out there again.
Yeah, they put me on a cable here. Yeah,
older citizen.
Yeah, but the next question you had was about the chemicals, you know, and there are two aspects of that. One is chemicals coming from the plastics that, you know, have been added to the plastic to give it the right properties and so on, and these can leach out. And you mentioned phthalates. Phthalates are plasticizers added to certain types of plastics in order to make them, you know, pliable and soft and so on. But so that's one thing, something coming from the plastic, and phthalates actually are hormone disruptors. So they disrupt the hormone system, particularly of young organisms developing quickly and so on. So that's really bad news because they're active at very, very low concentrations. But the worst phthalates have been actually legislated out of use. So I hope we won't get more of that kind of plastic. It's sort of a legacy pollution, I would say. But then you have the other option also of pollutants, which are actually organic chemicals adhering onto plastics, because the plastics function sort of like a sponge for these pollutants. So they adhere on, and then fish eat them, and then, well, Lord knows what happens. But they can be released actually.
Hello.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Mojca
has a busy traffic on her phone, so it all goes sideways. I just wanted to say, yes, the plastics function as sponges for pollutants. These are organic chemicals, and it can be anything like DDT or anything like that, really bad stuff. So when organisms eat these plastics, they go through their digestive system and they can get released. But this is not fully known because there are so many options. You have, a number of different conditions, number of different plastics exposed to I don't know what, and of course a number of different organisms. But the bottom line is that there is a lot of research going on in this direction, but unfortunately the results that are coming in, and they're coming in rather quickly, show that microplastics have a negative effect. So they've never had a positive effect. I don't know where that could come from.
Yeah.
So it's a negative effect, but unfortunately it starts really with low concentrations already, and it goes to really a large number of organisms. And as I mentioned, if these organisms are the ones at the bottom of the food web, then this permeates through the food web to higher organisms and ultimately to humans. So I think this is fully unacceptable, and if we can, we should get this stuff out of the environment or not release it into the environment, because that's another bad aspect of microplastics. If they're floating around in the oceans and rivers, we don't know how to pick them up. We have no method to get them out. If it's a bottle, or a canister or something, yeah, you can go and pick it up. You saw it. But with microplastics in the sediments and everywhere floating around, there's no way.
Absolutely. It's terrifying. I even saw something about how, is it phytoplankton or zooplankton are actually mistaking, microplastic fibers as potential food sources, and
Exactly.
They're eating them. And with an organism that tiny, eating something like that's that toxic can have, we don't even know what's happening to, and they're the base of the food web, right? So it really is terrifying what is going on right now. And like you said, with the plastic bottles, there's so much attention being put on collecting these macroplastic, pieces, and they're very visible, and it is dangerous, to larger organisms like whales and I guess seabirds and that kind of stuff. But it's the microplastics are really the hidden terror because you can't see them with the human eye.
Exactly. You can't see them, but they're all over the place. I mean, especially fibers, they're 10 to 20 microns in diameter, are the fibers from our clothes. I mean, they're longer than that, of course, but, you don't see them.
Absolutely. And so if we haven't terrified people enough already, what about the nanoplastics? Those are fibers that are even smaller, right?
Well, nanoplastics are the next stage when microplastics further degrade and physically fragment. So they've actually they are studying nanoplastics in the lab environment. For example, there was a study published on nano-sized plastic particles going from those unfortunate plastic tea bags that some producers use, which is really a terrible idea, so you're getting nanoplastics with your tea. Like, oh, excellent. But on the other hand, I mean, nobody's actually really found nanoplastics from the environment in environmental real samples because we just don't have methodologies to isolate these. We don't know how to pick them out from, a piece like a sample of sludge or a sample of ocean sediment. It's there, but we don't know how to pick it out.
So people just, they just have to guess then about the
So
nanoplastic.
at the moment we're guessing, but I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that point that we'll be able to figure this out. But this is just a bad story. I mean, you can cut this story if you stop sending plastics into the environment. And it's all of them. It's from the bottle that is possibly easy to pick, to fibers, and to anything. I mean, scarily, the largest contribution to microplastics are particles from tires. Tire wear rubber particles are called normally.
Yes.
And you wonder, it's like, well, how can we stop that? And where is it, and so on.
Yeah. So, Andre, in terms of the top 3 contributors to microplastic going to the environment, you just mentioned tires there. I've seen some different, it's kind of confusing on the internet because you see different sources, listing what are the different, top sources. Sometimes I see it's microfibers from washing synthetic clothing. Sometimes I see it's paint. Sometimes I see it's tires. But it seems that those 3 are generally in the top 3 in terms of what's going to the environment. Is that correct? Yeah.
That is absolutely true. Currently, I mean, most of the research shows that tires are number 1. But, with the microplastics, you should actually look at each source separately, because the source is different. You can't approach that source with the same method. And fortunately, with the fibers, we know most are coming actually from washing. Some also come from using and wearing clothes. I mean, every time we wear clothes, fibers are flying around and moving around, but that's difficult to mitigate. But, we know that most of the fibers are coming from the washing machine, so that's where we can stop them. It's not where we can stop rubber particles from tires. That'll have to be another solution. So I think we have to look at each of these types of microplastics, figure out where they're coming from, and stop it there. Absolutely. Because very often we don't know actually that these are coming out. For example, you have these rubber mats on sports fields. They're great. I mean, that's where used tires are used. They shred them, they make those mats. It's only then people start thinking like, well, there's a lot of particles coming out of there, so that's not the best idea. And you do turn around, but it's a learning process. But we need to learn, and what we find out, we should then act.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And Andre, I have this theory right now, which is any plastic is bad, and we should just stop using petroleum-based plastics altogether. What you just mentioned about recycling tires into fields or mats, that kind of stuff. Any way that you reuse plastic, whether it's virgin fibers or recycled fibers, it's still going to be breaking down into microfibers and nanofibers, and it's still going to be getting into the environment, right? I see big companies like Patagonia and North Face, right? They're making clothing, or even Adidas, right? Making their shoes out of recycled fibers. Even sometimes, fibers they claim they're being reclaimed from macroplastic in the ocean. But if at the end of the day, like if you're washing your t-shirt that's made out of polyester and it's recycled, some Patagonia recycled polyester t-shirt, it's still going to be polluting the environment like crazy, right? So do you agree with me? Like all plastic is bad plastic. Sorry, all plastic is bad, basically.
I fully agree with you. I mean, I'm a so-called expert in plastics, and I'm the person that doesn't like to use plastics. I don't like to use them in my kitchen, in my home, if I can avoid it. But on the other hand, when you go to the emergency room, you're bleeding, you start opening packages, everybody's happy the plastics are there. They're sterile, they're there available, you get an injection, you get this, that, and whatever. And you're safe, and they don't have to cut your arm off. Or, the arm of your kid. And at that point, you go like, thank God for plastics. And also plastics, I mean, there's another sort of view as well. They're really democratic materials. They allow people to have things they couldn't have if we'd fully rely on natural materials, which has been in the past, So plastics are really great materials. And Now we have to learn how to live with them, control them. So not that they, run around wild and we can't control them. We need to control them. We're in charge and we're actually responsible.
Absolutely, yeah. And you think about all the naturally, I call them naturally technical materials, things like wool, things like cotton, things like hemp. Humans survived for an incredible span of time, keeping themselves warm, various different usage, using these copper, right, iron, these different kind of materials that are natural, right? And if we use those, that we wouldn't be running into all these problems with plastic. Like you said, though, there are some definite usages for plastic that are very still, useful to us. What is the deal with using biopolymers to make plastic, right? Can't you make plastic using like cellulose from wood and bamboo and stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, we can do certain things. There are new types of plastics coming around, and some of these are bioplastics. They can be either bio-based, let's say from cellulose, or they can be biodegradable. Not that these two things are compatible. I mean, the same thing. Okay, there are two different ideas and principles involved. But if you take a cellulose-based polymer, you can quickly change it, just chemically modify it, not very much, and it will not be biodegradable anymore, whereas original cellulose was. So let's say cellulose acetate used in cigarette filters is based on cellulose, but it's been modified just enough so it's not biodegradable anymore. So it's a bit of a catch. But of course, the burdens of producing the material by itself have been reduced because you're using a bio-based renewable material. But I think it's not all lost. I think it's great that we now realize what is happening, what the plastics are doing to the environment, to us, where they're coming from. We have an awareness that we didn't have like 20 years ago. And, we are doing things too slowly. I'm very impatient, I have to agree. But we are doing things and we are moving things ahead and making changes. There will be new materials. There will be textiles that will shed less. I just recently was looking at a solution how to capture rubber particles from tire wear, which I thought was interesting. So I think we will figure our way through. It's not that we should give up, but I think that in the future or near future or even more distant future, we probably won't give up on plastics. They're just too useful for us. We need to figure out how to do this, and well, our filter is one way how to deal with it.
Yeah. So do you foresee it moving to biopolymer? Like, is that the correct, like bio-based as opposed to petroleum-based plastics? Do you see that? Like, is that where the market's going to go, you think?
Well, that's one part of the market. There's a huge economy in the background, and bio-based materials are generally more expensive than fossil-based. But I think we're going to go off fossil energy at some point. We're going to go off fossil materials as well. But we need to figure it out so that we can still live as we're used to, effectively. I'm not saying that we should be wasteful, but we should be safe, comfortable, and have a quality of life. And that's what we need to support.
Absolutely.
And a quality of life is also an environment that's not polluted to the point that it's harmful to us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and brings it back to what you guys are doing at Planetcare and how important your work is. As you said, capturing these microplastic fibers from washing machines would have a huge impact on reducing this pollution going into the environment, right? As you said, it's probably like number 2. It's definitely top 3, maybe number 2 in terms of all the sources going into the environment. So what you guys are doing with your microplastic filters for washing machines is it's incredibly important work. So thank you so much for doing that. That's amazing. But in the future,
what will happen is that machines will have filters. I'm almost certain of that. It's not going to be a bother to anybody. When you'll buy a machine, it'll have a filter, and it just won't let the fibers out anymore. I really, really think that's our future, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Anrej. That's greatly appreciated. All these insights.
Let me give you Mojca.
It's fascinating. Okay, thank you.
She starts and she finishes.
Oh, come on. I'm so glad you guys could talk. I knew I have to be around, surrounded by my colleagues for you, James. I did some research, and I knew you're going to go deep on plastics with them.
That was very deep. Yes. Well, you guys are quite the tag team, you and Anrej. So that's great. So what inspired you? Like, I see that on your LinkedIn, you founded this company. Is it a company, or is it what is the
it's a for-profit, so it's a limited liability company. We're in the process of becoming a B corporation.
Great.
But yeah, we're a for-profit.
Great. And then what made you decide, I guess it was in 2017 that you founded the company? Like, what was that aha moment that made you do that?
Middle-age crisis. No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, partially, probably. I was nearing my 40s. I really, I was a corporate lawyer. Everything's fine, but I was kind of missing a purpose in life, to really change things. I have 3 kids, so it was even more important to me. So there was a touring exhibition in Ljubljana about the marine litter, and that was the first time I actually saw the microfiber pollution. I realized about this pollution. I saw what we do with our washing machines, and having 3 kids, I wash a lot. I mean, like you, I really try to dress everyone in cotton and wool, but nowadays it's always the 5% or the 3% of the plastic that's added for the shape or for whatever. So it's very hard to actually get 100% cotton, even underwear. So me washing a lot, I was shocked, sending 1 plastic bag full of fibers into the oceans every week seemed just like a really ridiculous thing. And I was Googling, so I couldn't really find that something's being done about it. Couldn't even find groups, interest groups or NGOs aside from the Plastic Soup Foundation that would be, concerned in this issue in particular. Or fighting it. So, I decided, and coincidentally, as a corporate lawyer, I had a client with the wastewater treatment problem. And this is on the team. We had a water engineer, a filtration engineer, actually. So, I talked to him the next day and I said, hey, is this a problem? Is this even feasible? Can we filter this stuff out? What do you think? Or, or am I hallucinating and it can't even be done? I'm a lawyer, what do I know? So he said that he believes we could try it out and maybe it could be done. And so the very primitive versions of the filter actually happened, and we saw that we're onto something and that we can actually filter this stuff out. So shortly after that, I went to the university and I found Anrej. He's very famous in Slovenia for, the plastic expert. And he was actually doing some research on microfibers, some, worldwide meaningful research. And I talked to him and he said, oh, good, you came, because I was thinking the same thing. This stuff can be filtered out. I was just, wondering why nobody's doing it. So this is how we came together then, and the whole thing started.
That's amazing. Holy smokes. And then how did you guys get money to do this? Did you self-fund it, or did you try to fundraise to help start this?
Yeah, it was painful. Yeah, we were bootstrapping. So we, it's not, of course, we had no salaries, but it was not a terribly costly venture. So basically what we needed to do is just design prototypes. Okay, we need to pay for our travel to go around the world, to actually speak about the issue, to speak with, NGOs, government, regulatory bodies, with washing machine producers. But then luckily, we got a grant from the European Union last year. And this is what actually we were one of the Green Deal startups in Europe. So we got a grant that helped hugely and really accelerated our R&D in built-in filters. So now I can say with certainty that we're gonna get there very soon. We're gonna get into the washing machine. So now yeah, we will.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, you actually haven't. There's one brilliant badass here you haven't met, and he's the one. And he's brilliant. He's a bit autistic, so he doesn't like to be on camera. But he's really smart. And he's the brains behind our products. He's the one actually designing our products, and that's why our products are so wonderful. And if you want to know anything about our products or the stage of development, he's the guy.
Sure.
Hello, James.
Hello. How are you?
I'm okay.
Excellent. So could you describe your main product right now?
Our main product. Yeah, sure. The external filter. I don't know how to. Okay, with this selfie camera. Yeah. So this is our main product right now. We're selling this on our web shop, and this is what you get in your box when you order the filter. So it's really easy to install. You just pop it on the machine, and you connect your drain hose here, and connect this to your wall drain, and then once per month you have to change the cartridge. So inside the filter there's a cartridge like this. You just take it out. It gets filled after about 20 washes or so, and in a package you also get a nice box like this with six cartridges. And after you used all of them, you just send them back to us free of charge, and you get a new package with the 6 cartridges more. So
wow,
it's easy to use.
That's amazing. So how much microplastic are you finding that is filtered in different time period, like a week or a month? How much?
In a month. Okay, so the mass of this plastic is about, Anrej, it's about 10 grams or something like that.
Yeah,
and
10,
the inside,
12 grams.
So the inside of the filter, it looks like this.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
These are cartridges.
Yeah. So
Coming
this is what
back
we
from
get
our
These
back.
are cartridges that
These
come
are dirty
back to us.
cartridges.
You see?
So we refurbish these. We reuse most of the stuff, about 90%. And we recycle just 10% of the material that you see here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah. So right now, what I've been using for the past year or year and a half is something called a guppy bag. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, we've heard of this, but the problem
it's not good. It's hard to use. So
how do you clean it? How do you clean it?
The cleaning is the problem, because the fibers get re-released, and that's why we really wanted to close the loop. Because it's not just important you collect them, you need to close the loop.
With our cartridge,
exactly,
you cannot get to the fibers,
Yeah,
that's what we wanted to achieve here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say the guppy bag is not good because, first of all, you can only put a very small amount of clothing into your washing machine with it.
Yeah.
So, and then secondly, after you use a certain period of time, you just have to throw it out. So it's really not a great solution. Your guys' solution is fantastic. It's just like, I think everybody knows drying machines have a lint filter, right? It's almost like the same thing. And it's actually crazy that and Mojca also talked about how cars have catalytic converters, right, to remove the excess pollution from the internal combustion. So it's an amazing solution that you guys have there, and you don't have to mount it right on the washing machine, right? You can put it on the wall, like anywhere.
Yeah, you can put it on a wall or in a cupboard or anything. The hose that we supply is 1.5 meters long, so you can put it anywhere beside the washing machine. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So do you have any other data about how much plastic this saves from going into the environment in 1 year? Or any
yeah, we do have, but I do not remember the exact number. But this number is rising with I think a second exponent with the number of users we have. So we currently have about 1,000 users. These are our early adopters. So I think
normally I would say, you release, let's say, between a conservative 0.6 gram to like a 0.9 gram or
per
1 gram per wash load. But that's on average, depending on it'll be slightly different depending what you're washing, what the load size is, and so on. But, if you can say a little bit below 1 gram every time you wash. And 1 gram of fibers is actually a lot because this is fluffy stuff. So once you start looking at 1 gram, it's like, wow, it's a lot. But, your best approximation is the amount of fluff you take out of your dryer. Yes. It's approximately the same. It's very close. I think the dryer even has a little bit more, at least by some studies that we've done. But it's approximately there. And you have to clean that every time. You see how much there is. And that's the stuff that goes directly in the water. You never see it. It just goes down the drain. And that's why we don't know about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you're putting your dryer fluff, into a basket or something next to the dryer, you can see how much you're accumulating.
Totally. That's a really good comparison for people. I just cleaned out the lint filter on my dryer yesterday, and I said to myself, oh my God, there's that much fiber going in the washing machine too, that's going right into our lakes and rivers. But we're not capturing it. And also because it's so tiny, the microplastic is, you can't see it with the human eye, which is crazy. And like you said, 1 gram per wash, that could be like what, 500,000 or 1 million microplastic fibers?
Something like that.
They've done calculations. I think they varied from things like 700,000 from a kilo or to several million. It depends really, what their cutoff in the size range is, because you can look at particles that are up to, let's say, 50 microns, 10 microns, or 1 micron in size. And then, of course, the small ones don't contribute a lot of weight, but the numbers just go insane.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some tests being done in Ontario, from the province I'm from in Canada, and they're putting very basic filters onto washing machines. It's nothing elegant like the solution that you guys have at all. And it's just, a PhD researcher that's doing this. And the data she found, she put it on 100 households in this one community, this one small town. And if you extrapolate the data that she found from that one, 100 house test, if you extrapolate that data to all the households in Ontario, it was mind-boggling, like in the period of, a month or a year, how much plastic was going to the environment just in one province. It was like absolutely, I forget what the numbers are, but it's just like, it's huge. So
exactly, it's small contributions, but really, really a lot of them. And it's cumulative, year after year. So it just goes up and up and up. It's insane.
Totally. So after I get off the call with you guys today, my first step will be to order one of your filters for my own home. So it's just
exactly what you said.
It's so amazing, and for all the people out there listening in, it's a huge step you can do for the environment by buying one of these filters from Planetcare, because in a single stroke you're cutting down.
It's a small step for men. But a huge step for men.
A giant leap for mankind. Exactly. Because I'm sure that the kind of people, from the people that I know, right, there's probably maybe, I would say, 10 to 15% of the people that I know would be the kind of people, they really care about the environment. They're very conscious of their health. Those are the kind of people who would go out and buy your filter, which is a big part of the market still, right? Like if it's 10% of the market, that's still a lot. Even if it's 5% of people, right, that are willing to go out, those people can have a huge impact on this problem by buying your external filter. And then the next step after that, you guys are thinking about the internal filter. And are you guys thinking about licensing your technology to washing machine companies, or what are you thinking about that?
Yeah, we're thinking about that because, we are a small startup, and,
we don't produce washing machines.
Yeah, we don't produce them. We're not even able to sell to, multinational companies. They have factories all over the world. So we intend to license this technology.
But, despite being a for-profit, I mean, we currently are more like an NGO. We're raising awareness, we're pushing the issue, and it's really important to have these first users to show that it can be done, because there's a lot of naysayers, saying like it can't be done, it's impossible, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we can do it, and we can do a lot, actually. And, for regulators and politicians, it's really important that they have an example that it can be done. And that makes a difference. Then they can go, well, if, a startup could do this, and there are people that are willing to buy it and are using it, then we can actually put it everywhere. Why not? And the argument, why not, then starts disappearing. And that's actually what we want, because really, we're in here in this business to make an impact. And that's the point. We want to stop this type of pollution.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're pushing it.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are heroes, I think, and I don't use that word lightly, because what you're doing. What's that?
Ocean Rangers.
Ocean
we
Rangers.
call ourselves Ocean.
That's right. Well, I mean, really, the charge that you're leading on this, it impacts every human, every organism on Earth, with how big this problem is. So, thank you so much to you guys for what you're doing. It's so important, the work that you guys are doing. I did one video on TikTok that, raising awareness about this problem of microfiber plastics pollution from our washing machines. And I forget how many, I think it got maybe like 100,000 views. And I got about 7,000 signatures, because I was asking people to sign a petition, right? Like asking our governments to require microplastic filters to be put on washing machines. Because, if you ask that question to people, I think like 100% of people would agree that, yes, the government should regulate washing machines to have filters on them, just like our drying machines have lint filters, right? So are you guys actively lobbying, like, for example, the European Union or the government of Slovenia? Are you actively lobbying any governments to try to pass this legislation?
We don't really lobby, we can't lobby, but we give an example, and we certainly participate, and work with a lot of governments. Let's say France passed a law early last year that the 1st of January 2025, they'll require filters on all domestic and commercial machines.
No way.
Yes, they have that. They passed it. They don't have, the technicalities how to do it, but they use Planetcare as the example, as the, case that this can be done. And we were sitting at the table, and we're quite proud of that.
That is incredible. So you said that France passed this, and this would be
they're the first.
Really? So they would have to have these filters installed on the machines?
In the new machines, in all the machines sold after 2025. So
2025. Okay. Yeah. Wow, that is amazing news.
Yeah, but there are attempts, all over. I mean, I know that California just, I think last week or something, they put a new proposal in the process. They had one, I think, like 2 years ago or something like that, didn't pass. Now they put a new one. So the trend is quite clear. And also, when you were saying, that you had a petition and asking people if they'd want filters, I think it's a much more fundamental question to ask. Like, are you happy to have plastics in your body? Is that acceptable? And just how much?
Yeah, exactly, because I think that 100% of people would say abso-freaking-lutely not. I don't want any plastic in my body. So
exactly, and that brings the truth home, really. Because if you don't want them, then guess what? Then we got to do something.
Absolutely. What is the situation in India and China right now? If you talk about the two most populous countries on Earth, is there any legislation in those two countries that you're aware of?
Well, in India, definitely not. in China, didn't we hear some rumors? But we have no solid. Yeah. There are some rumors that there will be trying to introduce some regulation about it.
China is definitely following what is going on, and China has the sort of history of turning around very, very quickly when they decide. So China very likely at some point will move, particularly when other countries started. And there's a, let's say, standardization basis and so on. India is probably more interesting because in India or some other places as well, there's a lot of hand washing. And that's like a little Pandora's box that we don't know much about. We know one part of the world is still hand washing in rivers and streams and so on. And there's absolutely no idea what happens there.
Yeah, I wonder if like in rural, I wonder if in rural India, if they use a higher percentage of natural fibers, you know, things that they grow locally, or if because the plastic is so cheap that maybe it's very pervasive there.
Plastics are cheap, and that's the bad side.
Always cheaper,
Absolutely. So from a manufacturer's perspective, you know, if I'm like, who's the biggest? Is it Siemens or is it like Miele?
In Europe is the BSH group, so it's Bosch, Siemens.
Okay.
So go on.
For those guys, from their perspective, so if this legislation is passed in France, they have to have these internal filters on the machines by 2025. What do you think the cost to them would be for making these filters in their machines?
Yeah, we don't know that exactly. I know it's too early for us to say because we're early in the development phase of the filter. But anyway, this will be, I don't know, somewhere from 5 to 10 euro range.
That's it.
For the manufacturer, we think. Yeah.
That's great. That's great because that's nothing.
It's, washing machine business of every euro counts. So 5 to 10 euros a month.
Yes.
Just probably the drain pump right now costs something in the range of 5 or even less euros. So this will be an additional cost, and they are trying to fight it. You know.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Is your hand over the microphone? It seems to be cutting out a little bit.
I don't know. Okay, I'll try to. Yeah.
Okay, that's
actually. I have to stop holding this phone. I have to sit down now.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So, how far along are you guys on the internal filter?
You know, as Mojca mentioned, we got this. We got funding from the European Union for this R&D project, and we started it in November. So it's still early. We have some prototypes, and we're testing them now. And we think we'll have, something ready in maybe 6 months.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much. And sorry, what's your name again, my friend?
Miha.
Miha.
Miha, M-I-H-A, like Michael or Michelle or whatever.
Miha.
Yeah.
Got it.
Michelle 61.
Got it. Perfect. Well, thank you, sir. And maybe could you pass it back to Mojca?
Yeah.
Who
do you want? Mojca. Back to
yes.
Hey,
yes.
Jake.
Hello. You have a great team. You guys are a great team. I love it.
We have so much fun. Saving the world plus so much fun. I mean, it's the best job in the world. We're so lucky.
Absolutely. Well, I guess the takeaway message for people out there is if you want to make a big impact on, the zero waste movement is a huge movement, right, in the world right now. People wanting to reduce their personal, impact on the environment. And I think for all the people that are concerned about the environment, you can have a huge impact if you go out and buy a Planetcare washing machine filter right now, right?
Yes, I mean, I don't want to advertise it too much, but it's true. There's also other things you can do. I mean, you know, you can wash less, you can wash at, you know, lower temperatures, shorter cycles. You could try and definitely avoid fast fashion. I mean, that's really important. So you should get quality clothes. You should love your clothes, you know, possibly from natural materials. So there's actually a lot you can do towards reducing it. And I know at this stage, you know, we put something on the market. We have miserably low margins on it. I'm so sorry, James. My phone died.
Oh, no problem.
You know, I'm sorry. So I'm on another phone now. Where were we? With trying to avoid fast fashion, buy natural clothes, wash less, shorter cycles, fuller loads. That's it. That's that. And liquid detergent. There's the debate is still out on the softener, but you know, I should I avoid it. I would avoid it.
Got it. And I guess maybe just one last technical question, semi-technical. When it comes to, you know, all the workout clothing, athletic clothing, you know, like leggings and all the, you know, the stuff that's made out of polyester mainly, if you get that made out of bamboo, like bamboo-based polyester, or however you phrase it, is that an environmentally friendly option for all of that kind of athletic gear?
Let me consult Anrej. Anrej is bamboo originated polyester for sports clothing. Is that a safer option for the environment?
Well, if it's a polyester, it's a polyester. It doesn't matter where it's coming from.
You see, if it's a polyester, it's a polyester, and it should not shed into the environment.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. Well, yes.
It's a no.
If it's polyester, really. But if it's only bamboo fibers, you know, such as cotton fibers, then of course, I mean, it's like cotton. So if it's not altered, you know, then it's cellulose, just like cotton.
Got it.
So I don't know what it really is, but if they make a polyester out of it, then we're there.
Got it. The safest thing to do is just to have a freaking Planetcare filter. That's what it is.
Or to have your runs in cotton or wool.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mojca and Anrej and Miha. For your guys' great work again. Like I think that you guys are heroes for leading this charge, and I hope that everyone goes out and gets a Planetcare filter today. I know I will be, and just, you know, thank you so much for the great work that you guys are doing. Keep it up. There's a lot of people out there. I think all the people that know of you guys are big fans and supporters of you. So thank you so much, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, James, for exposing these problems, for raising awareness, for featuring us, for having us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
James, thanks.
Thank you, Anrej.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Miha.
Yeah, sorry I didn't wear my tie. I like yours.
Thank you.
Next time Miha's gonna wear a tie. He's gonna be his first.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm gonna buy one.
It's gotta be wool, Miha, not polyester tie.
Of course, it's not gonna be polyester or something.
Okay, perfect.
Still, bye.
Okay, bye, James.
Thank you, guys. Bye.